confiscation still exists. I am suspecting an upcoming silver confiscation. What's up, everyone? Tiger Stacker here. We have had multiple confiscations in our United States history. And I did a video on that not long ago, and I invite you to go see it. But I also want to go down this rabbit hole again because people think confiscation still exists. Well, it does and it doesn't. And no, this is not a conspiracy theory. I've done a lot of work on this and I want to share it with you. So let's explore this. First of which, the Constitution overrules any laws or executive orders. There are no confiscation rulings that exist in the Constitution. Again, I invite you to go see the video I will tag at the end and leave in the description. Second, the multiple coin acts of our country involve no confiscation. Again, invite you to go see the video that is tagged at the end and left in the description. Now let's talk about executive orders. In the video I referred you to, there are 10 executive orders in our history involving gold. Most people refer to Franklin Delano Roosevelt's 1933 Executive Order 6102, but there are many more than that. Again, go to the video I tagged. Do you know how many executive orders we have that revolve around gold? We have 10 executive orders that revolve around gold. You have the Executive Order 6102, 1933, which we've all heard about, which was from President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This order forbade hoarding of gold coins, bullion, certificates by individuals, partners, associations, and corporations, requiring the citizens to turn their gold into the Federal Reserve in exchange for currency of $20.67, to which 1 year later, they reevaluated the gold to $35. But the story continues. Executive Order 6111, also 1933, issued on April 20th, 1933, regulated the transactions in foreign exchange and earmarking the export of gold coins and bullion. Then the Executive Order 6260, August 28, 1933. This order superseded the April Executive Order and elaborated the regulations regarding the hoarding, export, and earmarking of gold. Also during 1933, Executive Order 6261, issued on August 29, 1933, was related to the sale and export of gold recovered from natural deposits. And 1 year later, 1934, Executive Order 6556 and 6560 are amended orders on 6260, further defining how gold could be acquired. And no, the story does not stop there. Executive Order 11037 was made on July 20th, 1962. It amended Section 12 of Executive Order 6260 concerning the regulation of gold. And this executive order allowed U.S. citizens to hold foreign gold. But then the story continues. On December 31st, 1974, Executive Order 11825 was signed into effect by President Gerald Ford, which revoked the prior executive orders regulating the acquisition and holding of gold, which allowed citizens to hold as much gold in whatever way they wanted to. But guess what? The story doesn't end there. Executive Order 14068 prohibited Russian gold entering the U.S. Two more executive orders from Donald Trump. Executive Order 14303, restoring gold standard science, end quote. It focused on using open, verifiable science in federal decision-making rather than on monetary policy. And also September 2025, exempted gold, uranium, and other metals from U.S. tariffs. So there you have it, 10 executive orders. Executive orders are not laws. They are rules that are passed by the executive branch of the government, aka the sitting president of the United States. So as you can see, the executive orders of FDR and JFK were overruled by the executive order of Gerald R. Ford. Therefore, at this time, there is no official confiscation of gold or silver. But there is, in my opinion, unofficial confiscation that has been happening for a long time. These include any states that charge tax upon purchasing or selling precious metals. Not all states do that, and certainly states can institute or remove such laws. The state of Washington just instituted such a law in 2026, but West Virginia removed theirs in 2019. There's always the topic of inflation, which is taxing our fiat dollars silently. This is a form of confiscation. But let's talk about the confiscation that does still exist and has never been addressed by legislation or executive order. What is that? Capital gains tax. If you make a profit upon the sale of any precious metals, you have to give 28% to the federal government, which is, in my opinion, a triple taxation. I have heard citizens for sound money mentioning legislators talking about getting rid of capital gains tax. Why not? It's taxing money that has already been taxed. On top of it, this is real money, not the fiat dollars that they currently have as currency. Your money that you earned has been taxed already. And then you get inflation on top of that, taxing the money again. So a capital gains tax, in my opinion, is a third or triple taxation. Do you not agree? We are living through a lot of inflationary times. So in addition to the tax that you normally pay on your income, you're also paying through inflation and also later through capital gains. And you're losing the purchasing power of the dollar through the inflation. Now, with the climbing price of silver and gold and other precious metals, if we sell our precious metals for the fiat dollar, I propose to you that this is not profit. It's not because you've gained money, it's because the dollar has lost purchasing power. And yet, we are mandated to pay it. No, I'm not suggesting that you cheat on your taxes. Do not put yourself at risk. Do not get yourself thrown in jail. But we do have an alternative of contacting our legislators to try to stop this theft. Of course, big businesses such as JP Morgan and the others are not paying the same rate of capital gains tax. And when governments trade in precious metals, I suspect there is no taxation. So now let's talk about silver. In 1934, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed Executive Order 6814 to confiscate silver. This did not seem to go over very well, like it did with gold. First of which, the people had learned what the government did because they gave $20.67 to the citizens that had voluntarily turned it in, and a year later revaluated it to $35. Yet another type of inflation, and the purchasing power of the dollars given to the citizens was decreased. In addition, the gold coins of that time had dollar values, such as this $20 St. Gaudens gold coin. So they had an alternative of paper currency to replace the confiscated gold. But silver was our coinage for fractions of a dollar. There was no paper alternative. So how can you confiscate silver and not give the citizens an alternative for change? I am suspecting an upcoming silver confiscation. As you all know, silver is climbing faster than gold. And this is represented in the dropping of the gold-silver ratio. This is due to a lot of factors, such as the commodity wars between the BRICS nations and the United States, the confiscation of other commodities such as Venezuelan oil, China limiting the amount of silver that they are willing to export, the play for Greenland from the United States, while China and Russia are also wanting it. I'm sure that this is partially because we need the increased security, especially when you look at the potential attacks over the Arctic Circle, but also because Greenland has a lot of untapped resources, including precious metals. It's been my observation in my lifetime that when big governments move and move quickly, there are more than just one reason for the movement. And I believe the resources in Greenland are just as important to our government as the security and the proposed Golden Dome. So, because of these reasons, I'm willing to speculate that we will be facing a potential silver confiscation. China controls 60 to 70% of the world's silver and also its refining. The LBMA and COMEX do not have enough, which is why we are seeing the diversity between the paper markets in the West and the physical markets in the East. LBMA and COMEX do not have enough silver, which is why we have a backlog in the refiners trying to replenish the stockpile in LBMA and COMEX. It's also the reason why the refiners are not willing to accept non-pure silver. I believe we are going to try to extract these metals from Greenland and also other sources such as Argentina, which means we don't have enough at this point. So what happens if we don't have enough and silver is already on the critical metals list? Guess what, people? Expect a silver executive order for confiscation or a law. FDR made 3,721 executive orders in his presidency, but he also had 4 terms in which to do that in. Woodrow Wilson is the second highest with 1,803 executive orders, followed by Calvin Coolidge at 1,203 and Theodore Roosevelt at 1,081 executive orders. Donald Trump had 225 executive orders in his first term in office, but in this first year of his second term has already signed 220 executive orders. So if the United States as a nation cannot get their hands on enough silver, and it's already on the critical metals list, and they cannot get it from other sources, and it takes time and energy to mine and refine silver, do you not think that Trump would sign an executive order to confiscate silver? And who's most likely for it to come from? Us. Certainly not big business or other countries, and it will take a lot of manpower and time to extract it from the earth. It will be the citizens that have it, even though we are a small percentage of the citizens of the United States. So I propose to you the following. Confiscation does not currently exist in our country, other than for what I mentioned. There is no law or executive order that exists at this time. However, unofficial confiscation such as inflation and capital gains tax do exist. And I suspect if our government wants silver for its purposes, expect an executive order or law to be made. There is currently no evidence of a hidden order specifically for silver confiscation. However, the legal mechanisms for government intervention in precious metals ownership in a crisis exist. Therefore, while no immediate order to turn in silver exists, the legal, historical, and strategic or national security framework for such an action does exist and has been used in the past. So what do you think about silver confiscation? Do you think it's going to happen? Do you not? Leave comments down below. Let me know what you think and what you hope to do to protect your hard-earned money and wealth. I'm looking forward to reading each and every comment. I'll see you all in the next one. Tiger Stacker out.